Binyamin is being accused for a crime of theft, a grand theft of Yosef's Gvia, his magical goblet. Originally, in the end of Miketz, where the brothers are leaving town, and Yosef's attendant catches up to them, Menashe. The Medrash identifies it as Menashe, and Menashe declares to them that one of you have stolen the goblet. So they say that if it's true, the thief should be killed, the rest should be taken as slaves. And Yosef's attendant says, no, that's not
Overkill.
the one that the goblet is found by should be taken as slave, and the rest will be free. So each one is taken down a notch, right? The thief himself won't be killed, taken as a slave, and the rest will go free. Lo and behold, Binyamin is found with the goblet. The brothers tear their clothes. By the way, the Medrash Rabbah says that because Menashe was the attendant and he caused the brothers to tear their garments, that's why he was the Shevet that was torn in half. Years later, Menashe was the one Shevet that was split in half to be in Eretz Yisrael, half to be in Transjordan, east of the Yarden, together with Reuven and Gad. And the reason of Menashe's fate to be torn apart, the Medrash says, was because he had the brothers rend their garments.
Why would they say, just that we talk, I asked this on Shabbos, why would they say the person that's found was going to die? What did they learn what happened with Yaakov and Rachel? And Yiftach doesn't
So the truth is that
why do they keep on doing this?
Reb Chaim Brisker learns that when Yankov told Lavan whoever stole the idol should die, it was not a curse. It was just a halachic piece of information. Because they were goyim, and a goy that steals, if a goy violates any of his 7 mitzvahs, he gets the death penalty. A Jew who steals can pay back, as we'll see. But a goy has to get the death penalty. So Chaim Brisker learns that Yankov wasn't giving a curse, he was just stating a statement. That if someone did steal... Okay, but it's just a psak halacha that if someone did steal, they would die.
So these brothers
It's almost like you could say like this. Yehuda is saying that since if someone steals, they would die, you could be sure that no one stole it. Since the consequence for theft is death, you could be they were so sure no one stole it. Anyhow, the moment it was found, Yehuda puts a different bargaining chip, right? He
Thank God
says,
Menashe. He saves them all. He says, no, I'm not going to take it.
Right, so Menashe lowered down both of them down a tier. The thief won't be killed, he'll be taken as a slave, and the rest won't be slaves, they'll go free.
But it's almost like Menashe reversed the
well,
whole thing,
well,
because he's a tzaddik too.
Yeah, definitely. When Binyamin was found with the Gvia, with the cup. Where's the...
Yiftach later on.
They start searching, and by the way, it says that Bagodol Hachal or Bakotin Kila, they started with the older. No, right away the attendant says, no. Kidvarechem Kenu, really you're right, but I'm going to go beyond the letter of the law. The Ganav should be an Evid, and the rest should be free. So it's already Menashe who said that. Right, well, it was already, or whoever the attendant is, the Medrash identifies it as Menashe. Then they started searching, and it says they began by the oldest, they finished by the youngest. And obviously they didn't want it to be suspicious that they knew who the thief was. The Medrash says, though, they actually only searched in 2 sacks, Shimon and Binyamin. When it says they searched Bagodon, the oldest one, it means Shimon, the second to oldest. Ubakot and Kili finished with the youngest is Binyamin. They only searched in 2, Shimon and Binyamin. Why? Why would it be only them 2? What's pshat in the Medrash? Why would it be they only searched 2 sacks?
Because Reuven was by his father; he was taking care of him.
That was a long time before. Now Reuven was still by his father. Now a long time later. Somebody asked me this many years ago, and what's pshat in the Medrash? So Baruch Hashem, I learned Chumash that day. So the brothers told Menashe, how could it be we stole? We have a kal v'chomer. If the money that somehow was put back in our sacks we brought back, how could we steal? It's a kal v'chomer. So Menashe is a good kal v'chomer, but it doesn't work for Shimon and Binyamin, because Shimon was in jail the whole time. He didn't bring back the extra money. Binyamin didn't come the first time. So neither of them have the Kal V'chomer. So that's why the Medrash says it was only Shimon and Binyamin. But either way, the Geviyah is found, and they come to Yosef's house, and now Yehuda says, you know what we should do? We should all be Avodim. So this is really a third option. The first option was the Ganav should be killed, the rest be Avodim. Menashe says, no. Just the Ganav be an Eved, the rest of you go free. Once Binyamin's found to be the culprit, Yehuda says, new option. We're all Avodim. And Yosef reiterates the same thing that Menashe said, no. Only the thief should be an Eved, the rest go free. And then we come to today's Chumash where Yehuda is angry. Vayigash Elov Yehuda. Yehuda he's flustered, he's angered. So the Al-Sheches, I don't get it. Yehuda's option was Yehuda put on the table that we should all be Avodim, right? And Yosef said, no, why would we do that? Only the thief. And now Yehuda's angry at Yosef. Yosef showed a gesture of favor. Like, why would this cause Yehuda to be angered? Yehuda was ready, they should all become Avodim. Yosef says, no, only the thief.
He can't come back without Binyamin.
What?
He can't come back to his father without Binyamin.
No, but why was he angry he became angry at Yosef? Val Yichar Abcha, he started speaking cautious to Yosef. Yehuda himself had offered that they all become Avodim. Yosef was like, no, the rest of you go free, just the Ganav stay. All of a sudden, Yosef feels, Yehuda has negative feeling towards Yosef. How do you explain that?
He wasn't angry at like the whole drama that was going on for the past.
So all right. All possible. The Al-Shich says it's very simple. The Al-Shich says, in the end of Miketz, when the brothers, when they see that Binyamin was caught up in this calamity, they say to themselves, the Eibishter orchestrated this. The Eibishter orchestrated this for the crime we did to Yosef many years ago. Okay, Binyamin's one of the brothers. Yipunkt wasn't there at the time, but the brothers collectively are being punished, and Binyamin is not being spared. When the public gets punished, even individuals who are innocent can also, unfortunately, get smitten, get hurt. So Yehuda thought this was the hand of God. It was the Eibishter. But once Yosef says, all of you go home besides Binyamin, Binyamin's the only one that wasn't part of the Mechir of Yosef. It doesn't make any, this cannot be the hand of God. This must be the hand of this guy. That's why he was personally angry. He realized this is no longer, Yehuda said clearly, this is the Eibishter found the sin of your servants. But once Yosef said, no, the rest of you go home, Yehuda's like, if so, this is a concoction fabricated by this individual over here.
Isn't that lack of emunah b'tachin on Yehuda's part?
No, but there's a difference. If somebody's hurting you, right, you don't have to accept it and let them hurt you. Unless you know for sure that they're the shliach of Hashem. If they're a shliach, if a shliach bezdin is going to kill you, not kill you. If a shliach bezdin is going to implement one of the dalad mitzvahs bezdin, you don't have the right to say self-defense. Let me kill the shliach bezdin. You can't do that. Right?
Right.
You have because he is the messenger of God. But if someone's stam hurting you, you fight back. In other words, so there's a... Okay, as I learned the Al-Shich, Al-Koponim, Yehuda and Yosef engage in a famous dialogue, a lengthy dialogue, and we begin with number one. Number one, I would quote it straight from the Medrash. I couldn't get into the library, it's all locked. So I had to quote the Medrash from within another sefer. The sefer is called Proshas Drochim. Proshas Drochim, there was an incredible Torah genius, super genius, almost 300 years ago. He passed away in 1727. So he was 350 years ago. Yehuda Rosanis was his name. He lived in Turkey, and he was an incredible Torah scholar. The Baal Shem Tov, when he was a young man, once traveled to Turkey and met up with him.
That's when he traveled, he was going to move to Israel.
Right, so the problem, there were a number of times the Baal Shem Tov wanted to go. The Baal Shem Tov, though, only revealed himself in 1734, when he was 36 years old. The Mishnah Melech passed away 7 years before then, so it would have to be while the Baal Shem Tov was still a hidden tzaddik, while he was still unknown. But we call him the Mishnah Melech. That's what Yehuda Rosanis is known as. What?
How do we know they met?
Oh, there's a story. The Chassidim have a story written in old Sfarim. They met and... the Baal Shem Tov wanted to speak in Yiddish. The Mishnah Lamelech only spoke Hebrew, couldn't speak Yiddish. And they were discussing the plight of the Jews in Ukraine. The Baal Shem told them about the Chmielnicki massacres and everything. And the Mishnah Melech wanted to put his head back and was going to wipe out the whole country, with one... Anyhow, that's it. So what happened is this Yehuda Rosinus passed away, and he was on the Bezdin. He was one of the greatest. He was a Svardisher, hence no Yiddish, but he was from one of the last of the great Svardisher minds, Gaonisher minds, and when he passed away, he hadn't printed his works yet. He had manuscripts everywhere. During the Shiva, his house was raided. Ganovim came in and raided the house, and stole stuff. And the place was in complete disarray. Papers everywhere, things destroyed. So he had a student called the Ma'am Lawyers, Rabbi Yaakov Kuli, who wrote the Ma'am Lawyers in Ladino. There was a great student of Yehuda Rosinus. So he went into the house and he picked up any paper he could find and he tried to make a Seder out of it. And he took pretty much all of the Nigla, and he called it the Mishnah Lamelech, and he printed it on the Rambam. So we have it today in almost any Rambam. The bottom you have the Mishnah Lamelech's commentary, which often is just pulpulim on end. It's not necessarily connected to the Rambam more than Gemara, this or that, but it was printed on the Rambam. That's how Yaakov Kuli decided to print it. And Yaakov Kuli also found, amongst the manuscripts of his teacher, pulpulim on stories of Tanakh and Medrash, which was unique. And he culled together as many manuscripts as he could, and he put together a sefer called Proshas Drachim. In fact, in the Mishnah Lamelech on the Rambam, there's often brackets. In the Mishnah, there's often brackets, and every bracket starts off with a Rosh Tevis, Aleph Hey. It's Omar Hamagia, said the editor, which is Yaakov Kuli. And then he often has long essays of his own, pulpulim. In Ma'am Lawyers, in his commentary on Tanakh, it's Medrashim, it's nice ideas, a little bit of halacha, but you don't see Yaakov Kuli's genius in learning. You have to look in the Mishnah Lamelech, in the brackets where he inserted his own ideas. You see, he was a big Talmud Chacham as well. Anyhow, so that's the background of how the Sefer got printed. But it became an absolute classic, the Proshas Drachim. It's pulpulim in Tanakh and Chumash and many stories of Tanakh, explaining them according to halacha, but he read very extravagant and original. And he opens up his Sefer with the following question. The Eibishter gave us the Torah in 2448, granted. That's when we were given our Jewish identity, right? So does that mean that until that point, Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, Yankov, the whole family, all of the Abrahamic nation, for a couple hundred years while we were in Mitzrayim, were we just another Goyish nation from Bnei Noach? We happened to come from Shem, we were Semites, and we come from Avraham. And it happens to be that some of us who had Ruach HaKodesh, who knew that one day God would forbid eating pork, or one day this and that, tefillin, this and that, so we decided to be machmir on ourselves early. Is that the case? Or perhaps the Yidden were already given the Jewish identity well before Matan Torah. Maybe Avraham was a Jew, Yitzchak was a Jew, Yankov was a Jew, with all of the perks that come with it, leniencies as well. For example, if a Yid before Matan Torah would steal, would he get killed like a Ben Noach, like a Goy? Were they Goyim who happened to be machmir to keep parts of Torah? But then if you steal, you get judged like a Ben Noach, you get killed. Or did they have all the perks of being a Jew? That's the question that he opens up with. And he begins, V'hinei hamarash Yafa. Reb Shmuel Yafa was a very important commentary on the Medrash. He lived in the 1500s. I think it was in Turkey. In Parshas Vayigash, Perek Tzaddik Gimel Siman Vav. Aha da'amrin on Hasam. So it's a Medrash in this week's Parsha. Omer Rabbi Simon, you know what Yehuda tells Yosef? You want to take Binyamin as a slave? Why? Because he stole? Amar lo, Yehuda says, B'nimusus shelanu, in our laws, we have a different constitution than you. Kasuv, it says, V'im ein loy v'nimker b'gnei vasai. In the Chumash, in Parashas Mishpatim, it says, a thief is responsible to cough up the money. If he doesn't have the money, he gets sold. But Zeh yesh lo l'shalom, Binyamin has geld, he could pay for the cup. That's the medrash. So Yehuda's telling Yosef, whatever you want to do to Binyamin, that's your set of rules. We have our own set of rules. Judge him according to our set of rules. So Hiksha, so the Marash Yafa says, what was Yehuda telling Yosef? Hari Kaimel on the law is a ben noyach nereg al shava pruta. Ben noyach gets killed for stealing a shava pruta. V'loy nitin le'shavna. A goy does not have the option of restoring the theft. A goy, once he steals, he violates the crime, he gets killed. Umi haitziyam, it didn't say who removed the shvatim from that law. Kol shaloi nitna Torah down before 2448. Before Torah was given by Har Sinai in 2448, who said the Jews were removed from the status of a ben noyach? Who said they had the perks of being a Jew? Amongst which is, if you steal, you could just pay back. That's the kasha. Okay, maybe he has to pay kefil. But the law, you don't get sold for kefil. You only get sold if you can't pay the principal, not for kefil. The Tiritz and the Marash Yafa answers, Shebnei Yisrael yotzu mibidin bnei noyach af lahakol. That it must be that the Jews were completely removed from the category of the Noahites, af lahakol, even to be lenient, mishenivdol Avram b'milah. The moment Avram had his bris. When Avram had his bris, it wasn't just another mitzvah. The rest of bnei noyach have 7. Avram has 8. No. Avram now became a Jew, and all of his eniklach after that have the Jewish identity with all the perks that come with it. That's the opinion of this Shmuel Yafa. He wrote, his sefer is called Yefei Toyar, a very important commentary on Medrash.
Which Yafa?
Reb Shmuel Yafa, nicht the Levush, nicht Mordechai Yafa. Shmuel Yafa. He was the same time as the Levush. The Levush is in Poland. He's a Sephardish in Turkey, yeah. V'chein kosav harav hanisker, so says the Proshas Drachim, the Marash Yafa is back at it in another place. The Parshas Bereshis, Perek Tezai, and Siman Vav, there's another medrash, Dibra Masal Gili Arayas Minalon, V'dovak B'ishtoi, right, the medrash there is discussing that Adam himself was instructed on either 6 or 7 of the mitzvahs B'nei Noach, and it says Gili Arayas Minalon, Adam was instructed on moral relations, v'davak b'ishta, because he should cleave to his wife. That's what it says in Parshas Bereshis. V'zeh l'shoyne, comes the Marash Yafa and says, wait a second. Ika l'meidek ha'v'kasha, l'man de yoliv kol arayis b'bnei noyach. There is an opinion in Masechta Sanhedrin who says that just like the Goyim, one of their 7 mitzvahs is a gili arayis, immoral relations, whatever is forbidden to a Jew is forbidden to a Goy. Now that's not the halacha. The halacha is only a relationship that a Jew gets killed for is a Goy forbidden to. But if the Jew doesn't get killed, he only gets chorus, for example, marrying 2 sisters, then a Goy is actually not warned on that. Yeah. But there is an opinion who holds, Kol Arayis b'bnei Noach. Whatever a Jew can't do, a Goy can't do. So how did Yaakov marry 2 sisters? So usually we ask the question, if Yaakov kept the Torah, how could he marry 2 sisters? Here's a much better kasha. There's an opinion of Tanoim who hold whatever a Jew can't do, a Noahide can't do. So then Yankov, as a Goy, glad he wasn't able to marry 2 sisters. The Tiritz, and he answers...
But there was no Yidden yet, I don't understand.
So no, but even as a Goy, can't marry 2 sisters. It wasn't a
Jew can't do.
No, the Shiloh of the Marash Yafa is nothing to...
Avram was the first
No, nothing to do with Jew. There's an opinion in Sanhedrin who says... Whatever a Jew can't do as far as forbidden relations.
Laid down yet.
Oh, the law.
No law
Oh,
for
how?
Jews yet.
Okay, no, okay. That's just
You're
a
saying
symbol.
eventually
That's
what
just
the
a
Jews can't
sign.
do,
No, that's
that's
just a
what-
signal. That just represents, but it didn't become a new law.
But there was a goyot. She converted, no?
Well, we'll see about conversion. So, V'tiritz, the Marash Yafa says like this: Da'acher shenimol Avram. Once Avram went through the bris, nivdul hu v'zaroi midin shar b'nei Noach. The Marash Yafa is back at it. Once Avram had the bris, he and his children are no longer goyim. Ukishanasa Yankov shteyachitz. When Yankov married 2 sisters, V'giron, he converted them. In other words, just like you can be a pure Jew before 2448, you can convert as well. You can convert. and take on a Jewish identity. And you get the perk of being a newborn baby. Because the leis buhu isur kurva, there's no longer prohibition of being relatives. The havale kegershin is guy. When a ger is megai, it becomes a newborn. The medin Torah, biblically leis be isur kurva. Biblically, once a guy converts, there's no longer relation. They're not related. V'nois, you can marry even your sister. For sure, you can marry two sisters.
Logically, we follow that today?
No, the Chachomim answered certain. Minat Torah, once a ger is megai, all bets are off. But the Chachomim prohibited a number, not everything, but a few things they prohibited. They prohibited whatever was osir as a goy is still osir, and then certain other things they also prohibited as well. But certain things remain mutter.
The husband is because it shouldn't be.
Yeah, mikdusha chamura lekdusha kala. Yeah, but there's right. Right, some things they allowed, like an aunt, for example, to marry your father's sister, still allowed today. Midrabban is allowed to. Fine, but so the Marash says not only was there a Jewish identity, you could even convert. Fascinating. There's a Radvaz. By the story of Shechem, so Shimon and Levi, they have the whole city go through Bris Milah, and then they wipe out the whole town, right? And Yankov screams at them, how could you have done such a thing? And they respond, should they make our sister into a harlot? By the way, that's where the story ends. They got the last word in. In other words, the Torah ends with their justification. The Radvaz, in his commentary in the Rambam, says like this. You know what Yankov was upset? Yankov said it could be they violated crimes as Goyim, right?
But now you made them Jews.
They converted.
Right.
They converted. Once a Goy converts, any crime that he wouldn't be killed as a Jew, he doesn't get killed now. Certain things he would still be killed for. For example, if when he was a Goy he killed a Jew, a Goy gets hereg. When a Goy gets killed by court, he always gets the
Guillotine.
right,
That's
the guillotine.
brilliant
The
of the
guillotine.
answer.
Hold on. So too, if a Jew kills another Jew, the misa is hereg. So if a Goy killed a Jew and then the Goy converts, he'll still get killed.
A Jew kills a Jew is skilla.
Hereg. So if a Goy killed a Jew and then he converts, he doesn't get off the hook. He still gets the sick. It's the same mitzvah, it's the same death penalty. But if he did something as a Goy, like ate Avrim and Achai or something, and now he converts, since as a Jew, had he done that, he would just get lashes. You don't kill him now, right? Anyhow, so Yankov said that whatever crimes they did, now that they're Jews, they should be off the hook.
That's brilliant.
He says, Shimon and Levi, Tainad.
Nothing to
You
do with
can't, become a ger. They had a debate. Shimon and Levi versus their father had a debate. Was there real conversion in those times? Yankov said, yeah, there is real conversion. And therefore they're off the hook from their previous crimes. Shimon and Levi felt, come on, the Torah is not given yet. You can't really convert. If you can't really convert, then whatever crimes you did, you still have on your shoulder and you get killed for it.
Why
And
can't
they're
we
saying that
answer
Yaakov married two sisters, according to them.
That's Yaakov L'Shitasai.
Right.
That's why
going-
Yaakov L'Shitasai.
They're going against their...
Oh, fakir, they Rachel. Why'd you marry Rachel? Just marry her. Who asked you to marry Rachel? Taka?
But they didn't
Who asked you to marry
answer
Rachel?
in a
You know, by
halachah
the
way.
way, you know what the Maharal says? It's earlier, but the Maharal speaks about it. Why Rachel ultimately was not buried with Yankov in Maras HaMachpelah. Why did God have it only Leah, not Rachel? It's because, so there's many reasons. So when the Jews by the Churban would pass by and daven by her, the Maharal says it's because imagine how embarrassed Yankov would be if for all future generations he's buried next to two sisters. It's always going to be apparent that he married two sisters. Even after the Torah is given to save him face, we said the first woman you married, she'll be with you. The other woman, who no one knows where she is. She's buried somewhere. She's out of the picture. Because or else, once Torah was given, and every Jew will look in the Maras Machpelah and say Yaakov married two sisters. Imagine the shame. It's a fascinating idea why Rachel, Leah was chosen because she was the first wife. And Rachel was the addition. So that's why Leah was the one chosen to be buried in the Maras HaMachpelah. So maybe Shimon and Levi, Taka, they told their father, who Taka asked you? Taka, you can't convert. No one asked you to marry Rachel.
But on the flip side, it
Yeah.
was Rachel that was the intention. And it was he always understood to be Rachel,
Yeah.
even the first night.
Yes.
It wasn't till later that he
Yes,
discovered.
yes. We have a number of
So-
shirim about that.
so that's
However,
different.
Tosfos, the Rivah says that when Yankov was under the chuppah and he sees the girl with the, covered in white, he wasn't sure who it was. He knew Lavan might be. So when he gave her the ring, he had in mind maybe Rachel, maybe, and also that night as well when he was with her, he thought it was Rachel, but just in case it was Leah, he covered both bases.
But he had no basis to compare to. He never had a relation with Rachel before.
That's why.
Leah,
That's
so-
why
No,
he
they were
couldn't
twins.
tell.
They were twins.
No, but I'm saying.
So that's why
it's
he
not
couldn't
like
tell.
he had the
Right,
relations
right.
Who could tell the
Identical.
difference.
Yeah, or he barely knew her.
That's-
Barely knew her.
See the shit?
Yeah, what do you think he did for those 7 years? He was living. I think he was living in their house. He had his own.
Chassidus.
I think Lavan let him in his house. Lavan had him far away. And
But Shimon and Levi didn't answer in a halachic way. They answered on a different level.
no, that
They're
no.
saying, I don't care, Jews, no Jews.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
insulted our sister, they gotta die.
No, because also what was the crime that Shechem had? What was the crime that Shechem had? So the Rambam says.
Yeah, you can't insult Yaakov's
Hold on.
daughter.
The Rambam says because Shechem himself had kidnapped, a guy gets killed for kidnapping, even a Jew. And the rest of the town violated the
By
mitzvah of
standing
dinim,
by.
right, that they have to implement
you don't
dinim.
get death for dinim.
That's what Yankov's taina was. Since
That's
they
why
all
they-
converted, as a Jew, you don't get death for being standing by.
No, not for dinim.
One of the shepherds is spinning out.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
now
but
that they
they get death.
converted,
I thought everyone-
no, guy gets death for that.
If you don't have a bezdin, you get a death for.
Yeah, all
for
Yeah, that's what the Rambam writes. It's one of the 7. Dinim is one of the 7. The Ramban disagrees. The Ramban says that they don't get killed for standing by. They have to do an active
Yeah,
violation.
but the
So the
Rambam says
Ramban
active.
the
It's
Ramban
Rambam.
says the issue of Shechem was they had. Are you kidding? They had averis for years,
Yeah,
idol
that's a
worship
separate
and everything.
But
But the Rambam learns Shechem himself violated kidnapping. The rest violated mitzvah number 7, which is to implement the other 6 laws. And although it's a passive violation, the Rambam holds it carries a death penalty. So the Radvaz says Yankov's taino to his sons were, once they went through Bris Milah, they converted. They're Jews. A Jew doesn't get killed for lack of judgment, for standing by. Shimon and Levi's response was, there's no conversion now. And therefore they're still goyim. They still have that chip on their shoulder.
Their shita?
But
'Cause
wait,
No,
he doesn't
no.
respond.
But the way they
He's
write
married
it,
to sisters.
right?
So
The way
The way they answer it is not a halachic.
Actually,
It's
the
just
way
ends
they
off-
were saying that they didn't intend to
Unacceptable
convert.
what
They're-
they
they're
did.
con-
The
their
Shai's-
brit
no, the
was
Shai
not
is,
unintended
how could he have made her a
Their
zayna?
Brit was
And everyone was
simply
quiet.
as a convenience,
And everyone
because
was
they said
quiet.
that your God
You know,
is
this,
so
she made her to a
powerful,
zayna.
participate.
And they
That's
didn't
not
do
a
anything.
conversion.
They all got it done.
And they let it happen. So you just have to
That's
add,
like a
and they
business
let it
thing.
happen. You have to add those words. Okay. Anyhow, so I'm just saying it's a fascinating. By the way, the Mishnah Lamelech, so I'll just throw this. Okay, we're going to get going. The Mishnah Lamelech says that Bechal, the debate of Yosef and his brothers were the same thing. He says that Yosef told his father numerous stories about his brothers. One of them was the Eiver min Achai. He saw his brothers eating Eiver min Achai. And everybody asks, did he see it or did he not? If he did, kasha on them. Even a Ben Noach can't. If he didn't, kasha on Yosef. What's he telling his father? So the Shalosh says, right, they made animals with Sefer Yetzirah. Yosef was unaware. Fine. Comes the Prashas Drachim and says it's talking about an animal that was shechted, but it still jumps around for a few minutes. For a Yid, once it's shechted. But a goy was never told the laws of shchita. By him, it's alive or dead. By a goy, if it went through shchita, it doesn't matter if it's pulsating around, has to wait until it's completely dead. So the brothers were eating from an animal after it was shechted, while it was called mefarchesa, still jumping around. So the brothers said, we're not doing nothing wrong. Why? Because they held that they were Jews, with all the leniencies, including the fact that once an animal's shechted, although it's pumping around, it's shechted. Yosef's like, we're b'nei Noach. A guy, you have Avim and Achai on your head until the thing is completely dead. So he says that Yosef versus his brothers had an internal debate.
Aren't Shimon and Levi
Different than the
saying-
Radvaz. Well, yeah, it doesn't all fit together. It's a different right. The Radvaz makes it a debate seemingly between Yankov versus Shimon and Levi.
Including one of the answers of the brothers were, what are you talking about? Jews, the Goyim are not going to care. You killed a bunch of Jews.
Yeah, that's the old that's the old Jewish answer. That's the type of Jewish humor that kept the Jews going in exile.
Still does.
Yeah, that's once they all have Bris Milah, no one will care about it. anyhow, so okay, back to our discussion. So you see that it doesn't all add up perfectly. It's different options, different perspectives. But back to over here. So we're still quoting the Marash Yafa. So he says, okay, we're number 1, about 5 lines from the bottom. Hadover Pashut. So this is the Mishnah Lamelech talking. Shekol Zeh, all of these Marash Yafa's theories about Yankov and about Yehudas, that Yosef shouldn't be sold or die, rather he should just pay back, is if you say the Yatsul Miklal B'Nerech Legamri, only if they exited Noahide completely, then Chashivi Rachel v'Leah Gershon is Gayer. The only way to say that Rachel and Leah are considered full-fledged Gerim and they're not related, Leis Kurva, is only if you can have a complete Jewish identity with all the leniencies, right? Because you're giving them a leniency that now the 2 sisters can marry Yaakov. And this is all, he's trying to explain the opinion in Sanhedrin that holds whatever is also to a Jew is also to a Goy. So Glat, how did Yaakov marry 2 sisters? So you're creating a leniency that, well, there was a Jewish identity then and you could convert to it and have the perk that now Yaakov can marry 2 sisters. But if they did not leave the Noahide category to get the perks of a Jew, rather they were considered goyim who happened to be machmer to keep Torah, then eich hutru lo hakud Rachel v'Leah marry him, because for Bnei Noach it's considered an erva. Okay, so that's what the precious Drachim wants to say. So this is how he begins his long book. Okay, so the truth is, look at number 4. It's really a debate between Tosfos and the Ramban. We'll do this part quickly, but we just have to say it because it's so fundamental and basic. It's in Parshas Emor. The Torah is a story. There was a guy, his mother was Shloimis Bas Divri, who was actually the wife of Dosan. And one night, there was a Mitzri who set his eyes on her. He threw Dosan out of the house. He spends the night with her, and he impregnates her. A boy is born. And the boy becomes the Makalo, the cursor. And in Parshas Emor, he goes out and he really blasphemes and he gets killed. A very unfortunate saga. What was his deal? His mother was a Jew, his father was a Goy. The Pasuk says that he went besoich b'nei Yisrael amongst the Jews. The Medrash, the Halachic Medrash, the Sifra, says that he was Megayer, he converted. What in the world does that mean, he converted? So the Ramban and Tosfos have a big debate. Look at number 4. V'hat Sarfatim oimim, the Frenchies say. This is the Ramban in Spain. The Frenchies, the Baalei Tosfos say, right, Kitam hagerus. You know why this guy had to convert? Mipnei she'koydem matan Torah. It was before the Torah was given. V'hayu mishpata leilich acher hazocher. Tosfos holds before the Torah was given, the Yidden were like any other Goyish family, and you follow the father. Just like by Goyim today, if the father's a Mitzri and the mother is from Edom, the kid's considered a Mitzri. You follow the father. Because Mimasha Amrun Yevamas, Ba'umas by Goyim, you follow the father. So this kid was a Mitzri. Before 2448, we were just another descendant of Noach. The Kasha Noiladzeh, when this kid was born, Loi Molois, he didn't have a bris. Even though Avram's family, he's not from Avram's family. Ki Mitzri Hoya Bedina, he was a Mitzri. Avol Kushagadol, when he grew up, Nizgayer, he was Megayer, Ladaitoi, Venimel, he decided to join the Jewish people and he had a bris milah. That's what Tosfos holds. Before the Torah was given, that he joined the Jewish nation and he had a bris milah. The Ein Daiti Kach, says Ramban, I disagree. Me'eis shebo Avram bebris, the moment Avram had a bris, Hayu Yisrael, they were Jews. Uvagoyim lo yischashavu, a pasuk in Balak, that they're no longer amongst the Goyim. U'kamoisha Amar be'esav, like the Gemara says about Esav, Dilma maybe Yisrael mumar shiny. The Gemara there is saying, how do you know a Goy can inherit his father? Does a Goy biblically inherit his father? So the Gemara says, yeah, Esav received land, part of the promise that Abisha gave to Avram. Says the Gemara, maybe Yisrael mumar shiny. Maybe Esav was a Fraya Yid, a Apikoris, but a Jew. And maybe he's different. So that means you see that we're giving him a Jewish identity and saying, you can't learn from Esav to a regular guy. He was not a Ben Noach. So says the Ramban, v'kal v'chomer, adabriu kal v'chomer. If la'achar matan Torah, if after 2 for it, when a kusi, a goy, a bal bas Avram, a goy who lives with a Jewish woman, mechai ve'lavin, right, a Jewish woman living with a goy, it's to chai ve'lavin, it's awesome in our Torah, probably from Loisis Chasenbaum, from the Pasuk in Veschan, you can't marry them. Ein loy ba kedushin, he can't affect any kedushin with her. In other words, he's considered completely foreign to her. He mikveh tahira, she's like a mikveh l'umas. When the zera leaves the goyish body and enters the Jewish woman, the eibishter, it's almost like when someone donates zera and their identity becomes obscured forever, right? So in Torah, the eibishter cuts off, the moment the zera leaves the body of the goy and enters the Jewish woman, the eibishter completely severs the zera from the donor. The woman becomes like a mikveh. She makes that zera, that semen kosher. L'umas, lahachshires v'lad delis k'may, the kid should be like her. So says the Ramban, if that's the halacha today, loy kol shekain, for sure, kaidem ha-Torah, for sure before the Torah was given, when there was less of a distance and a divide between Avram's family and the Goyim, for sure, shetehema taheres v'lad delis k'may, for sure the kid should be like the mother, l'chai v'y b'milah, to make a chai v'milah like Zari of Avram, and miklal b'nei Yisrael. So we have over here is a debate. So according to the Ramban, the moment Avram had a bris milah, they had Jewish identity with all the perks, like Esav being Yerush, and maybe a guy can't, but a Jew can. So according to the Ramban, what does it mean that this Mekalel whose mother was a Jew? So what does the Sifra mean that he converted? So the Ramban says what it means is that when the Eibishter gave the Torah, this guy had a choice. He could have joined the Egyptians, right? His father's Dacha Mitzri. He chose to join us. He chose to join the Jewish nation. But in identity, it is be'etzim always a Yid. The Ramban holds. So the Mishnah Lamelech quotes this throughout his essays. This is really, as far as the Rishonim, a real basis of debate. Tosfos versus the Ramban. Tosfos holds before the Torah was given, we were just another Goyish nation. According to the Ramban, we had the Jewish identity with all of the perks, the fact that you follow the mother, and etc. One.
By the same token, if you have a Jewish father with any woman, then the kid should be Jewish because
Rav Asi holds that in Yevamos. There is an opinion who holds that, but we learn out from the end of Parshas Ve'eschanon. Rashi explains over there. The Torah says that you shouldn't allow your children to marry into the Gentile nations, and it says that if your daughter will marry a boy from the Gentile nations, then your Einakul will be swayed following his father. Hold on. Yeah. So you see, the Torah considers your grandchild from your daughter to be your Einakul. But it doesn't say the other way around. It doesn't say that if your son would marry their daughter, then maybe their daughter will sway your Einakul after the idolatry. So Rashi says, you see from there, that if your son marries a Gentile girl, their child is not your child. It's not your grandchild. Child follows the mother. So we learn out from those psukim that it only goes one way. You follow the mother, not the father. The Rav Asi holds you follow there are opinions who say that. There are opinions you need both to be Jewish, fine. But the halacha is, like the Ramban says, this is the halacha in Shulchan Aruch, you follow the mother, you follow the mother. So this is the basis of the debate. Okay, so where does this take us? It takes us to the following. Look at number 2. Number 2, this is really, and let's get into it. Boom. V'yesh sa'ad lazeh. This is the Prashas Drachim again, another paragraph. He says, I have proof that the Jews were Jews even for the perks and the leniencies. Midamrin on Bebreshis Rabbah say the Vayishlach. You learn Parshas Vayishlach? It says, Vayichanes Pnei, Yankov came to Shechem, he camps outside the city. Nichnas be'erev Shabbos, it says he entered Friday. Im dimdumecham, in the third line of number 2. As the sun was about to set, miba'od yom, was still day. V'kava tchumin miba'od yom. He was kaveya where his position was going to be before Shabbos, so he shouldn't walk too far on Shabbos. Ha the Amr, you see from here, Shomer Yankov kept Shabbos before it was given. Yankov kept Shabbos. Also in Parshas Miketz, in yesterday's Parsha, Yosef tells his attendants, Tvayach tevach v'hochen, that you should shecht and prepare. Ein v'hochen elo Shabbos. Preparing refers to Shabbos, like it says in Parshas B'Shalach, v'hoya b'yom hashishi v'echinu, that the Torah says on Friday you should prepare. And Yosef was telling his attendant the same expression. Hada Amr, that Yosef kept Shabbos. So we have Medrashim, both Medrash rabbis, in Parshas Vayishlach and Miketz, that claim clearly that both Yosef and his father Yankov kept Shabbos. V'kasha says the Mishnah Melech, Bom Kasha. Hari Kaimel, the law is in Perek Daled Mises in Sanhedrin, a ben Noach sheshavas chayiv Mises. A goy cannot keep Shabbos. It says in Parshas Noach, Yoim v'layla lo yishpoi, so day and night you cannot rest. V'im kein eich shomru Yankov Yosef is a Shabbos. If Yankov and if the whole family were really just another Goyish family, okay, the Abrahamic family, but they had all the dinim of a Goy. They just wanted to be machmir to keep Torah, very nice. But you can't be machmir to keep Shabbos, because as a Goy you're not allowed to. There's a number of Mefarshim who explain why Avraham Avinu didn't get a bris till he was 99, right? The famous Shaila. If Avraham did everything, why did he wait till he was 99 till Hashem told him to have a bris? So by the Marsha famously holds, Avraham didn't begin to keep the Torah until he got a bris. It was only after he got a bris that he took it upon himself, you know what? I'm going to start keeping all the mitzvahs that will be given one day. So the Marsha says before he was 99, before he had the bris, he didn't keep any mitzvahs. That's why he didn't do the bris. It was only after he got the bris, he was machlik, I'm going to keep all the mitzvahs. That's how he explains how Avraham married Hagar. Hagar's from Mitzrayim. You can't marry a woman from Mitzrayim. It's a clear one of the Lavin till the third generation. How did he marry her? Because he was younger. He was 85 years old. It was before he started keeping mitzvahs. Avraham married Sarah. Avraham, okay, whatever. But that's the Marsha's opinion. That's one interesting answer. But others explain that Avraham Avinu couldn't do the bris till he was told by the Eibishter. You know why? Because you can't harm yourself. Hashem told Noach in Parshas Noach, "Achas dimchem l'nafshosechem edresh." You're not allowed to harm yourself at all. So Avraham thinks, I'm a ben Noach. I have all the chumras of a guy. I want to be machmir to keep Torah. Fine, so you want to wear tzitzis, beautiful. I can't do the bris because it violates my chief obligation of I am a ben Noach. My other personal chumras don't give me a way out from my original obligations. So the same Shaila could ask Kavir, how they keep Shabbos. You want to be machmir to keep Shabbos, but as a goy you can't. So l'chor, you see from here that the opposite is true. They actually were full-fledged Jews with all the elavada yotzu miklal b'nech. They're no longer goyim. Afilu lahakol, even to be. They have all the leniencies. They're allowed to keep Shabbos, and that's why Binyamin should not be taken as a slave. He should be able to pay back, etc., etc. This is the famous raya the Parshas Drachim gives. The problem is that fits very well with the Ramban in number 4. The Ramban holds that they had all the perks of the Jews. But what about Tosfos? What about the Frenchies? The Chachak, I shouldn't say. After the story I said with Baruch Mezhebuja, right? Someone called the Alter Rebbe the Litvak, remember? And he had a horrible side. We shouldn't call the Frenchies. But the Tzarfatim with the Baalei Tosfos, they're not chopped liver. If they believe that until the Torah was given, we were just another Einakul of Noach. Okay, we were given a special mitzvah of Milah, but we were really, at the core, we were Bnei Noach. We had certain advantages. We were holier than the rest. The Eibishter favored us. We were already somewhat chosen. But if we were just machmir to keep mitzvahs, then how would they have been allowed to keep Shabbos? It goes against their original and chief obligation as their identity as a ben Noach. How do you explain it according to Tosfos? The Parshas Drachim fits it with the Ramban very nice. According to Tosfos, what are you going to do? So there are many. Okay. So one of the famous answers, the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer writes, I heard from an early a Gadol or a Kadmon Echad, an earlier scholar. They wore tzitzis. How does that work? So the way most people say it is like this. If they were Yidden, they have to keep Shabbos, but wearing tzitzis is considered part of your clothing. But if they were Goyim, then what are they wearing tzitzis for? It's just you're carrying. If you have random strings hanging, you're carrying. So they broke Shabbos through their tzitzis. So as Yidden they were good, as
They
Goyim.
did.
Exactly. So the Monashach they were good. So the truth is like this. That worked. We once had a shear. If a ger had the bris but didn't yet manage to go to mikveh, there's an infection. What does he do in the interim? Is he still a goy, so he has to break Shabbos, or do we say he's already somewhat a Jew, he should keep Shabbos?
The wagon.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we had a whole share about it. So there, we're talking that it makes sense to say let him wear tzitzis in the Rosh Hashanah. If he's considered a Jew, then he's keeping Shabbos. If he's considered a goy, then he's breaking Shabbos. So that's how most people want to word it over here. The issue is though that we're looking at it from the viewpoint of Taisus. There's no Memonashach if he's a Jew, if he's a goy. He's a goy. He's a goy. So what's Avram trying to accomplish? He's trying, you have to word it a bit differently and say, he's trying to accomplish to keep Shabbos. But how's he keeping Shabbos? He's wearing strings. Since later in the future, the same type of person who wears Shabbos would have to wear these strings, so as far as Shabbos is concerned, these tzitzis are not considered carrying. You can't say if he's a Jew, if he's a guy, because we're talking in the view of Taisus, right? That's what I'm just pointing out. But either way, I'll tell you, the Chassam Sofer has a bigger kasha. I had the same question. I saw that he had it, and I was pleased. The Chassam Sofer says, wait a second. Chassam Sofer says like this. His question's the other way. Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, Yankov, they all wore tzitzis. Why are they wearing tzitzis? They're trying to fulfill the mitzvah of the future. Then even if they're goyim, it's not considered carrying on Shabbos. It's only considered carrying on Shabbos if it's useless. Stam a goy wearing tzitzis, it's useless. What's he doing? It's useless. But if they're trying to fulfill a mitzvah, let's say the Avos were all B'nai Noach, but the fact is they're trying to do all the mitzvahs of the future, right? That's a fact. They're trying to wear tzitzis because one day it's going to be a mitzvah. They want to already get in touch with that spiritual energy. The way the Ramban words it in his commentary elsewhere, they were like Einoi mitzvah va'oser, like someone who does a mitzvah without being commanded to do it. But you get a certain level of reward. It's not as great as when you have a command, but they wanted to get a certain level. You do get a certain portion of the mitzvah, a certain amount of reward. So the Chassam Sofer says, even if they were B'nai Noach, that wouldn't be considered carrying on Shabbos. If you would stop them on the street and say, you're breaking Shabbos because of those strings. No, you can't say that. Because since they're trying to access the mitzvah of tzitzis, it's just like us wearing tzitzis. It's part of the beged. It's not. It's only considered carrying if it's unnecessary, if it doesn't accomplish anything. What?
They already started to become worthy to Matan Torah for the whole nation. They already.
Okay, but halachically, what was their stance?
But there was no halacha yet.
No. For B'nai Noach, there was 7 mitzvahs B'nai Noach, and the fact you can't keep Shabbos. No, you can't keep Shabbos is based on a pasuk in Parshas Noach.
But they were no longer real goys.
Oh no, we don't. Okay. So there happens to be a ritva. There happens to be a ritva in Masechta Ksuvos who says a third option. Right. They weren't goyim, but they weren't yidden yet.
Yeah,
they were quasi. They had left this. The Ritva says once Avram had the bris, they were no longer goyim.
He started the process.
They didn't become full-fledged Jews until the Torah was given. Yeah. In fact, Rabbi Yosef Engel learned that's the same thing. When a goy has a bris, between the bris and the mikveh is the same thing. The bris makes him no longer a goy, but until he dunks in the mikveh, he's not fully a Jew. He's exactly as they were. Right. For those couple of hundred years. But the Parashas Drachim doesn't mention that possibility. He's mentioning only one or the other. They're either B'nai Noach or they're Yidden. Because once you give them this quasi-state, so then,
Taisus is also only saying that they're not Yidden.
Right, B'nai Noach. Right. No, only the Ritva. The Ritva says quasi. The Ramban and Taisus seem to be the two polar opposites.
So you can bring this up to Moshe Rabbeinu. How would you put him in this? I mean, he's before Matan Torah Gamken, so it's the same.
The Medrash says that Moshe went to Pari one day and said, "You're overworking the Jews. They work 7 days a week. They're going to plot. Give them a day off. You'll gain more. They'll work better than the other 6 days." Exactly. And he gave them Shabbos. Moshe implemented Shabbos. He convinced Pari to give them off Shabbos.
It was his idea.
Yeah. Okay. So hold on. So the Chassam Sofer wants to throw the tzitzis off. He doesn't like the tzitzis. There are those who tie and they wore tefillin. If a Jew wears tefillin on Shabbos, if you have in mind to do the mitzvah of tefillin, then it's another issue, Baal Tosef. You're adding to the mitzvahs of the Torah. But as far as carrying on Shabbos, tefillin is considered lavush. It's a cloth, it's a garment. For a goy to wear tefillin in the street, he's stam carrying. So you give a similar answer. The Avos, Yankiv, Yosef, they wore tefillin on Shabbos. No, it's the same type of answer. The same type of answer. That's, that for Bnei Noach, they didn't keep Shabbos, they broke it because they were working out with stam.
But the real question is, how can they wear the tefillin before Matan Torah? Because
what did they put inside of it?
What do you put exactly?
Okay, so it was a bit different, but whatever
I would say
they.
That's a little bit touchier.
No, if I can't. They did something which represented tefillin. They wore something that represented tefillin. Whatever it was. So as far as their Jewish part of them, it's a lavush. It's a clothing. As far as Bnei Noach, they're stam carrying stuff on Shabbos.
Turn it on its head. Then you have to say why a tzaddik as big as Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov would do something that unless they absolutely knew and believed that it's something they need to do, that they have to do. So it wasn't a question of it's a fashion.
It's not about no. But if you do it for the mitzvah, it becomes a clothing. No, when it comes on Shabbos, it is about fashion. When it comes on Shabbos, the difference of are you carrying it or are you wearing it depends. If it's fashionable, you're wearing it. If not, then it's just carrying. If you do something for the mitzvah, that makes it fashionable. As far as walking out in the street on the Shabbos would not be considered carrying. I was about to share something else. I forgot, probably better than I forgot, so we can go weiter. Let's go. Comes Rabbi Yosef Engel in number 3, and he wants to say the following answer. Before Matan Torah, every Shabbos they would do malacha. Shnayim she'asur, 2 people doing a malacha together. The Havale Shnayim she'asur, if 2 people violate Shabbos together, they're patur b'Yisrael mikra. If you're a Jew, you're patur. You know why? Because the pasuk says ba'asoisa when she violates the crime. Yachid she'asa chayv. If one person does it, you're chayv. Shnayim she'asa, 2 people, you're patur. V'zeu rak l'gabi Yisrael. That's by a Jew. Because the pasuk of Kra, the pasuk of ba'asoisa hanal, loimer to tell you that b'shnayim she'asa by a Jew there's a special pasuk, and if 2 people do it, ein ha'maisa misyacheses v'kol echad v'echad b'fnei atzmo. We don't say each one individually did it. Rak nechshuv, we consider that each person did a little just miktsas and not a full malacha. But by a goy, the lekakor, there's no pasuk, because kol atorah Yisrael nemers to yid, not to goyim. So then, by a goy taka, it's considered that both of them did the full act. The ein kan shvis, and they didn't rest. So he says, very geschmack. Let's say Yankov and one of his kids, they broke Shabbos doing something. They both picked up the chalmud pot and put it on the fire. So, as far as keeping Shabbos is concerned, it's again, you have to say, as far as Torah is concerned, as far as being a Jew is concerned, it's not considered breaking Shabbos. 2 people did it. As far as a Ben Noach, he had to do this every Shabbos, him and somebody else.
He did all these amazing things.
But once on Shabbos, he and somebody else, and Yosef as well with somebody else, did an act together.
So he says the tzitzis thing doesn't work?
No, this would work.
No, but I'm saying according to him, the tzitzis thing wouldn't work.
He doesn't bring the tzitzis. He doesn't bring the Chsam Sofer. But the tzitzis is brought to Chsam Sofer. The Maram Shik, the Chsam Sofer's Talmud brings the tzitzis. The Chidushi Harim brings the tzitzis. Reb Chaim Brisker brings the tzitzis. Many people bring the tzitzis. But I just mentioned the Chsam Sofer asks on the tzitzis. The L'chayra.
So what about the Jews in Mitzrayim?
Did they keep Shabbos?
No,
so the Medrash says that.
I mean, they didn't
They
even have
couldn't keep
mitzvahs.
Shabbos. They were forced to work.
It was Avodah Zarah. They were steeped into magic, Avodah Zarah, all the voodoos of Egypt. It's part of the Zayin mitzvahs of Bnei Noach. Right? Even as Goyim, they were steeped. Right.
When you say the Isser of keeping Shabbos for a guy, it means keeping Shabbos the way you didn't keep
Yeah,
Shabbos.
yeah.
So then they were keeping Shabbos if they as a yid, because for a yid this is not, it's butter.
Yeah, no. It means that the actions, a goy can't do the same actions.
Is the actions or is the Shmira Shabbos? What does it matter what the action is?
No, for a goy, you did a ma'aser. No, I think everyone assumed you could say that. that the prohibition is for the goy to go through a Shabbos
Yeah, if a guy
with
sleeps
the
through
same
Shabbos,
the same idea as a Jewish Shabbos, so you don't do any of the 39 malachos.
if a guy just happens to be on an island with no way to do anything that breaks Shabbos, that's not a way of.
If a Jew
doesn't mean
sleeps
he
through
kept
Shabbos, he's not keeping Shabbos. No, seriously. You didn't keep Shabbos, you just didn't do any malachas. It doesn't say Shulchan Aruch. You're not allowed to sit there with your hands tied.
Shini b'Shabbos time.
No, I'm saying sleep through the whole thing.
No, it says Yom Kippur. Even if you have to do that better than
Yom
doing
Kipper's
everything.
different.
Either Kippur's
Sounds
supposed to
Sounds
be
like this
Shabbos.
question also applied to
Yeah,
a
but
gear
then Shabbos.
in between the time.
Fasting is not.
Okay, but it
It
says
might.
if you can't do it,
It might.
So people actually do
sleep
that
the whole Yom
halacha
Kippur
then?
and
Because
fast.
No, because it's a same tackle. According to some
Shabbos.
Shabbos, it might not.
No,
If
on
you
Shabbos
wear it a
it
whole
says
week
you
for the
are
mitzvah,
not
then on
allowed to
Shabbos
do
it's not going to be a
So
massa.
you shouldn't do any malachas because that's not.
There's a shaila about a woman.
Idea of
If a woman wears tzitzis
it's
on
not
Shabbos
the
in the
idea of
street,
Shabbos.
does she
Shabbos is
break
not that you
Shabbos?
should hold yourself back from doing malachas.
She wants to do the mitzvah of
things you have
tzitzis.
to do.
So there's a Magen Avram who wants to say she's chayiv v'chatas if she wears tzitzis on Shabbos. But sometimes it's because it's if she doesn't wear it during the week. But if a woman would wear it during the week for the mitzvah, then it becomes a lavush for her on Shabbos as well. So then taka, the Chassam Sofer Shaila would be even today. The Chassam Sofer Shaila would be even today if someone taka between the bris and the mikveh, if he's wearing the tzitzis because he wants to do the mitzvah for the part of for the part that's Jewish, then completely it's not considered a masa at all. Anyhow, so I will tell you that the issue with this Rabbi Yosef Engel is a famous word of Rabbi Kiva Eger. See, the Rambam holds if you have kilayim, two different animals pulling a wagon, right? Two different species. It's a isser. If you have, now how do you violate the Isser? You have to get those animals to move. Let's say you have 100 people holding a rope and all of them are pulling those two animals together. The Rambam says they all get malchus, even though only one was needed to pull the rope. So Rabbi Kiva Eger says, wait a second, what happened to the general rule of Shnaim Shosu, right? If two people do something that one person could have done, you're potter. So Rabbi Kiva Eger says, you're only potter from a korban, and maybe from death penalty. But malchus, you're always chayiv. So therefore the Rambam says, by the kilayim of having two different animals together, you still get malchus. You're still over the prohibition. It's just a korban you don't get. So according to this answer, Yosef Engel wouldn't satisfy. Because that means that they broke Shabbos as a Jew.
They just don't get punished.
Right. Right, so still Isra Deraisa, Isra Lav, right. So comes Rabbi Yosef Engel in number 6, and in another, he gives another answer. Oid Yesh Leimer, he says, the Asum Meleches Hoitzah, Bedover ha'asur ba'nal Yisrael v'loy leben noach. They got an item which was prohibited for benefit for a Jew, not prohibited for benefit for a guy. They cooked basar b'chalav together, milk and meat. So for Jew it's asur for benefit, for a guy it's fine. The lefit sada Yisraelis, the fact they want to keep Shabbos in the world of Torah, they didn't break Shabbos. Because if a Jew carries something which is prohibited for benefit, something prohibited for benefit is considered non-existent as far as carrying. The Gemara says something which has no value, that nobody ever puts away for lead, no one ever saves, has no use, you're not chayav for carrying it in the street. So as far as Torah is concerned, what did they carry? Nothing. But this item for Ben Noach is mutter ba'anah, so they were partially carrying something. They're partially carrying something. That's another option he gives. That every Shabbos they had to get hold of an item that was chazer is mutter for benefit. You have to get something like basar b'chalav or vineyard kilayim, something which is prohibited for benefit. Yeah. Right. Okay. So this takes us.
Get creative here.
That makes Erev Shabbos very stressful.
If you look in the Minchas Chinuch, the Minchas Chinuch says that every Shabbos they would do a chatzi shir. Chatzi shir, half the amount of a malacha. By Jews, you see, when Moshe stood in Har Sinai, the Eibishter whispered in Moshe's ears all the shiurim, all the amounts. A kazayas of chazer, a kazayas of matzah, a revius of liquid, all the amounts were told to Moshe and Har Sinai. And they only applied to Jews. Goyim were never given a shiur for anything. There's no shiurim, no amounts by a goyim. So says the Minchas Chinuch that if on Shabbos they did a malacha less than the shiur, so as far as Torah is concerned, they didn't break Shabbos, it was less than the shiur. As far as a Ben Noach, they worked, because the Ben Noach was not given shiurim. You can't say it was too small. There's no such thing as too small. The only issue is, but wait a second, that means that they broke Shabbos even as Jews, because Chatzi Shir, less than the amount, you don't get the punishment. You still get the crime.
Same as the two.
It's the same as the Shaila we asked from Rabbi Kiva Eger and Rabbi Yosef Engel. So the truth is, I'll tell you, there are some that believe that on Shabbos there's no prohibition of Chatzi Shir.
Is it Chazeletz Terefi on Shabbos?
Oh, so there's a Shagasari, right? Bechlal, the Chacham Tzvi holds Chatzi Shir is only by food-related items. The Torah said we learn it from Chaylev, forbidden fats. It's only by food-related items, not by actions.
So the writing.
He holds one ois would not be prohibited. It's only if you write 2 letters on Shabbos to be chayev. 1 letter is not a biblical prohibition. He holds actions, bechlal, and Shabbos as well would be minat Torah bechlal a non-issue. So that would help understand the Minchas Chinuch's option. But now we come to number 7. Number 7 is the famous answer of Pinchas Baal Haflah. The Pinchas Baal Haflah, who was a student of the Maggid, a friend of the Alter Rebbe. By the way, the Rebbe Rashab says a story that the Alter Rebbe once saved his life because Pinchas Baal Haflah was extremely ill, and the Maggid of Mizrich said, we got to somehow figure out an answer to help the Pinchas. The Alter Rebbe got some students together, students of the Maggid, and they paskened, based on a Rambam that no one knows where this is, that once somebody's teetering between life and death, his like is dead, and therefore the decree has already been fulfilled, and Takar Pinchas Baal Haflah recovered. There was a whole number of letters between the Rebbe and Rabbi Rifkin in St. Louis many years ago, back and forth about which Rambam this could be. Maybe it was a Rashi, and where exactly the source of this idea is. But either way, the Alter Rebbe saved the Baal Haflah. Yeah, so but it could be a Rashi, it could be a. Yeah, so.
Was he one of the few that were with the Alter Rebbe, or the many that were against the Alter Rebbe?
We don't know. We do know that when the Alter Rebbe started to write his Shulchan Aruch, while he was by the Maggid, he would show his writings to the Baal Haflah to get approval. So the Baal Haflah says like this: the Torah says in Parshas Noach, Yom v'layla lo yishbaisu, day and night you shouldn't rest. It doesn't say night and day; it says day and night. By a goy, it's dawn till dawn. The 24 hours is dawn till dawn. By a Jew, it's from dusk till dusk. So he says like this: you know what a goy can't do? A goy is not allowed to rest from Saturday morning till Sunday morning, or any day of the week, the truth is. But it's all from dawn to dawn. But a Yid keeps Shabbos Friday night to Mitzvah Shabbos. So you know what the Avos did before Matan Torah? They worked on Friday. They worked Mitzvah Shabbos. They rested our Shabbos. Friday night Mitzvah Shabbos. For Goy, it's B'chal not an issue. So he says in number 7, but Pasuk Yoim V'lai Lo Yishboi. So he writes it twice. He writes it in his Sefer Haflah on Gemara. He also writes it in his Sefer Ponim Yofis on Chumash. Kosov, he writes Liyashiv the Isu Yoim V'lai Lo Yishboi. So is to rest by day and the following night, because before Matan Torah the night was after the day. Ad Shenem, until it was said Me'erev ad Erev Tishbasu Shabbatchem. So this already sounds like. See, some people thought the Baal Haflah meant the difference of a Yid and a Goy. That for a Goy, it's always from dawn to dawn. And even today, the prohibition of a Goy would be from Shabbos morning till Sunday morning. And for Yid, it was always from night till night. The problem is, the Aruch Lener, big Rav in Germany, he disputes this word. By the Baal Haflah is not the only one to say this. The Noid Yehuda says it, and others. The Baal Haflah throws it away and says, there's so many psukim in the Torah where it says first Yom V'layla, but it doesn't mean that. Hashem told Yeshua, V'agisa ba Yom V'layla, learn Torah day and night. Does that mean that for Yeshua every day started in the morning and the next morning? No.
For Limud Torah it does.
For Limud Torah, when a boy becomes bar mitzvah, the moment Tzeisik Achavim is chayiv in learning.
But we make a Berachas Torah in the morning.
That's because the night's a hefsek.
And it works for the night after. You don't need to make a new bracha by night.
Because the sleep's a hefsek. Because of the sleep. It's because it's situated around sleep. But that's because. But as far as Minat Torah, the mitzvah, the first night a bar mitzvah boy turns bar mitzvah, nice chayiv in learning, and from then on it's night day forever. It begins at night. So the Aruch LaNer says the fact that it says in Parshas Noach day and then night, to say it means from dawn till dawn is a beichsvar, is a guesswork. He doesn't like it. But the truth is the Baal HaFlo doesn't say the difference of a Yid and a Goy. He says the difference of before Matan Torah versus after. It could be the Baal HaFlo would agree that today for a Goy as well, it's from night till night. And the Shabbos that he can't keep is our Shabbos as well. But that was only when Hashem said me'erev ad erev tishpusu shabbatchem, from night until night. Once Hashem said that, it became clear. But before then, it was taka. It was taka. The ish every day could be b'chlal before Matan Torah. The cycle of life was dawn till dawn. That was a 24-hour day, dawn till dawn. And therefore, when you couldn't keep Shabbos, then it meant from dawn to dawn. That was a day. But Avram wanted to keep the Shabbos that we'll end up keeping after the Torah is given, so he already knew about the idea of night and then day. Okay.
What happens if Yom Tov is a Sunday?
Hold on. So this is the Baal HaFlo. The Baal HaFlo was a Rebbe of the Chassam Sofer. By the way, the Baal HaFlo was a student of the Maggid, but then he got a job as a rabbi in Frankfurt. When he came there, he didn't openly speak Chassidus. The Chassam Sofer says, I never heard the Baal HaFlo mention the Zohar. I told you in his Sefer Ponim Yofis on Chumash, there were numerous mentions of the Chassidus from the Maggid of Mezrich, and they were all taken out. When they were printed, Misnagdim got hold of the Sefer, they printed it, and was all removed. And Reb Chaim Tzanzer was mamash beroigis, he was very upset. Like, didn't want to look in the Sefer, because the hands of the Misnagdim removed any mention of Chassidus. But the Chassam Sofer does write in a letter that I never heard the Baal HaFlo mention the Zohar. But the Chassam Sofer was a student of his. The Chassam Sofer had another teacher, Reb Nosson Adler, who was also living in Frankfurt, and he was a big Kabbalist, and unfortunately he was kind of ostracized from the rest of the city. He had his own minyan, and our tradition is he actually came to the Maggid of Mezrich. It was a clandestine visit. It's all in mystery, shrouded in mystery, his visit to the Maggid. But the Chassam Sofer learned from him too, and Chassam Sofer was a huge fan of his. Nebuch Reb Nosson Adler, he only had one child, passed away, and he didn't leave any svarim. So all we know from him is from the Chassam Sofer. Now, one thing we know is like this. The Gemara says Avraham Avinu kept the entire Torah. And it says even Eruv Tavshilin. He kept everything, even the Rabbanons, even Eruv Tavshilin. Random, like a random example to choose. A random example. So Tosfos in his commentary on Chumash says it doesn't mean the Eruv Tavshilin we make on Yom Tov. It means Eruv Tavshilin, which means mixing foods. It means when Avram served the Malachim in Parshas Vayera, it looks like he served them milk and meat. No! Avram was careful not to mix the foods. That's how Tosfos learns the Gemara. It means he was careful not to mix the foods. But the Chassam Sofer quotes from his Rebbe of Nosson Adler, no. You know why we say Eruv Tavshilin? When do you make an Eruv Tavshilin? When Yom Tov is on Friday. Avram made an Eruv Tavshilin, meaning he made it on Thursday for a Yom Tov which would be on Friday. If Yom Tov's Friday, it means between Friday and Shabbos he rested 48 hours. So night, day, night, whichever way you're going to go, the fact is he definitely, even if you're going to say the Baal HaFlo's word that a guy is only restricted from day and then night, he rested from day and night.
He could have done
Matzah
Shabbos.
Yeah, but he rested from
from
Thursday
Friday.
night till Motzei Shabbos. So yeah,
for Friday
so
he rested.
okay, but from but the Isser of a guy resting Shabbos is really any day of the week, as long as they take a 24-hour period and rest. Even with the Haflah that is day and then night, he did Friday morning and Friday night. So the Chassam Sofer says, I heard from Reb Nosson Adler, the reason why the Gemara's Eruv Tavshilin is dafka to teach me we're talking about when Yom Tov was on Friday. And it's to knock off the answer of the Baal HaFlo, to show you that he dafka, that he kept Shabbos, and this answer doesn't work. So how did he do it? So Reb Nosson Adler was of the opinion of like the Precious Drachim, they had the Jewish identity even to be lenient. Even to be lenient. That was the take of Nosson Adler, and the Eruv Tavshilin was coming to dispel this answer of the Baal HaFlo.
Tavke.
Anyhow, okay, this is one more.
Okay.
The Maharal is, you can go. There's this one other thing. We're all discussing how they keep Shabbos. How did Bechal they learn Torah? The same Gemara in Sanhedrin says that a guy who keeps Shabbos is Chayiv Misa. He can't learn Torah either. So the Maharal in number 8 is discussing how Noach learned Torah. Rashi brings in Parshas Noach, how did Noach know which animals were the kosher, which were the treif? He learned Torah. So the Maharal says, but the Gemara's in the Sanhedrin, if a guy learns Torah, is chayiv misa. Says the Maharal, Hainu she'achar she'nitna Torah li Yisrael. Only after the Torah was given to the Jews, like it's clear in the Gemara, because the Torah is considered our fiancé. But before Torah was given, it's okay. Meaning like this. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says there are 2 reasons why a guy that learns Torah is chayiv misa. One is Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Moshe gave it to us. It's ours. If a guy learns, he's chayiv for theft. He's a thief. A guy can't steal. It's chayiv misa for that. Since it's only figurative, theft, therefore Bezdin won't kill him. If a guy keeps Shabbos or learns Torah, the Gemara says it's chayiv misa, but Bezdin doesn't actually kill him for these things. Doesn't actually kill him for these things. So it's either from the fact that Moshe gave it to us, so we own it, so a guy is chayiv for theft, or Mayrasha, in inheritance, the Gemara says Mayrasha can be read Ma'irasa, it's our fiancé. So if a guy learns Torah, he's chayiv for Gili Arayis, another one of the 7 mitzvahs. But since it's only figuratively, therefore he actually doesn't get killed for it. But says the Maharal, that only applied once the Jews received the Torah. Before the Torah was given, it's not the fiancé of the Jews, and it's not the Jews' property, so a guy could. That's what the Maharal said. So it's true, in number 5, the Prashas Drachim says the same thing. The Mefarshim debate, the Levush was not happy with this word to the Maharal.
In the same way it existed after the one that
it existed, but it was in heaven. It was in heaven. The question, Chanoich Bechlal, while he was alive, he would travel to heven. He spent most of his life in heaven anyway. And he would bring down ideas down here. And he taught Mr. Shelach. How did Noach learn Torah? Who did he learn from? The Pashas was Mr. Shelach, who learned from Chanoich. Where did Chanoich get it from? He spent most of his life in heaven. Noach taught Shem. All the others learned by Shem. The Yalkut Shimoni says Avram he learned Torah from Shem. Yitzchak learned from Shem. Yaakov spent many years by Shem. By the way, in Medrash, there's one. Rabbi Lezer says, you know where Avram learned the Torah from? Rabbi Lezer says it wasn't from Shem. It was his own gut. His own gut gave him the intuition. So the Alter Rebbe story, he once walked into a shul and he clapped on the bim and he says, what does Rabbi Lezer mean? How did Avram's gut tell him exactly what the mitzvahs were? So Alter Rebbe said there were once 2 shikarim in a bar. There was Ivan and Boris, right? And Ivan tells Boris, I love you. Boris says, Ivan, yeah? He says, yeah, I love you. So Boris says, Ivan, what's bothering me? Ivan says, how should I know? You didn't tell me. So Boris says, if you really loved me, you would know. So the Alter Rebbe said, Hashem refers to Avram as Avram Oyavi in Yeshaya. Avram is the one who loves me. Therefore, Avram was able with his intuition to feel what the Eibishter would want. But the standard opinion is Avram learned from Shem. Yitzchak, we definitely know went to Shem.
So how do
what was this?
And Aver, yeah, and Yankov was Shem. What?
What was it? It was like a skinny book. It was parts of the Torah.
Well, maybe we'll have a shir on Thursday about what they do in the yeshiva of Shem Aver. But they learned a lot. They were learning a lot about God. Avodah Zarah, which was big. Oh, Bechlal. You know what? I once heard. Hello.
We did all these debates of whether they were Yidden or Goyim.
The Reform asked a kasher, if the Avos kept the whole Torah, that means they wrote a Sefer Torah, right? One of the mitzvahs. If Yaakov wrote a Sefer Torah, he should have seen that Yosef was still alive.
It's like the joke, Rabbi. What's this?
Okay,
every year the lady says,
exactly,
I'm not dead.
This time, no Rashman.
Was it more like the Sefer Hayosha?
So how do you,
so how do I answer the question? The Rashba says that most of it.
How do we handle Onkelos, who wasn't a Jew when he already started learning Torah, and then he became...
If someone is learning Torah, so first of all, the written Torah is different. It's the oral Torah that they're chayiv. The written Torah is okay.
But he learned oral Torah too.
Okay, so it depends, first of all, if it has any relationship to their mitzvahs, if it'll help the guy understand their own mitzvahs, they're allowed. More than that, if they're learning it because to pique their interest in Yiddishkeit, they're allowed to do that too.
But that answer goes all the way back too. It's not limited after Matan Torah. It was also...
Okay, that's if it piques your interest in order to convert. But if you're not able to convert then, if conversion wasn't a possibility and Avraham foresaw that it won't happen for hundreds of years.
We started this by the question of if having a bris creates a conversion.
Well, that's one opinion. Yeah, but we also said that's the Ramban. And our whole discussion was in Tosfos who holds that they were Bnei Noach and conversion wasn't
I
able.
understand. I hold with Ramban. I think he's.
Well, you're in good company,
It's solved.
and he
It's
appreciates
solved.
that.
That's it.
You
It's
can be
solved.
sure that he appreciates to hear that.
I
He
know
got
that.
an extra like in heaven, an extra like.
He was already
Subscribe,
communicating.
please subscribe to his
That's how you
channel.
learn.
All right.
Anyhow, okay.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Shit.
By the way, you know.